Angkor Audio. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have your light lunch with you. Today, we get into details about how you can significantly increase your success at a career change, especially if you are feeling stuck at work. Now, during the MCO, a lot of perceptions regarding jobs would change. Who would have thought that the job of a delivery man would be an essential role to keep our economy moving? Those safe jobs like full-time and blue-collar ones didn't seem, well, so safe anymore. And at the height of the pandemic back in April last year, there were threats of pay cuts, layoffs, some businesses closed down, unfortunately. Others sought ways to make ends meet by selling food or sewing masks during the early days of Malaysia lockdown. And I know some personal friends who became e-hailing drivers, something which is highly in demand even now. Now, COVID-19 has definitely highlighted how the gig economy has become an integral part of the new economy and has created earning opportunities for those who needed it. The labour market is foreseen to revive as employment picks up its pace, and across the world, inquisitive minds have already begun exploring what kind of jobs will be highly in demand. Now, according to a report I read recently, one of these jobs that is highly in demand will be marketing positions. So one of the benefits of having a job in marketing is that you would typically have skills that are transferable between industries, making you quite the commodity. But let's say you want to be a marketeer, but you have zero background or knowledge as one. Can you still apply for marketing positions, and how can one accelerate their value and skill sets if they wanted to explore these positions? Lucky for us, we have Ramesh Rajandran, Chief Marketing Officer for SEEK Asia, who can shed some light and tips with us today. He has a solid background in not just marketing, but also with e-commerce, strategy and technology integration, digital media, and so much more, having worked at Accenture, Apple, as well as Microsoft. Hi, Ramesh. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Good to see you after what? Was it been 2 years?
Yes.
Yeah?
Almost 2 years.
How are things on your end?
It could be, I wouldn't say it could be any better, but we've been living through the current situation now for almost 11 months. So I think I'm making best use of it and looking forward to what 2021 has to offer.
Yeah, looking a little bleak, but we shall remain positive, shan't we, Ramesh? Now, SEEK Asia is essentially Job Street and Jobs DB. So basically, SEEK helps facilitate the matching and communication of job opportunities between candidates and hirers, correct? Is that correct?
Absolutely. So SEEK Asia, SEEK is based out of Australia, and we have 2 job portal brands in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
We are across 6 countries. For everyone in Malaysia, you would know Job Street as the job platform,
correct,
the job marketplace. And we are all about improving the lives of millions of people across Asia through our platform. We are the leading employment marketplace in Asia. We actually help facilitate the matching and communication of job opportunities between people that are looking for jobs and also businesses that are looking to hire.
So what is the general overview of employment, especially with now the extended MCO 2.0?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting year, I would say, right? I mean, it goes without saying that COVID-19 has caused an havoc in livelihoods of many people.
Oh, definitely.
And out here, the scenarios are changing by the day and week. And throughout the world, this has also kind of impacted many lives throughout this period. As a result, there's a direct correlation to jobs. And many were first affected, at least in March, when the first movement control order was implemented. If I take a step back to talk about what happened back then,
right.
When we at Job Street did a survey, 1 in 3 people that we surveyed, our employees, have had their livelihood disrupted. About 18% of them were permanently retrenched due to the pandemic, and about 11% actually had to stop working, and this was for a temporary basis.
Right.
Although they were kind of technically employed. And at the same time, while people kind of lost their jobs and they were kind of asked to stop working, those who are working, and 48% of people that we surveyed in that category had to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
And or salary cuts to kind of ensure that their businesses could kind of keep on running. And the pay cuts ranges between 10 to 30%. So we saw a significant impact in terms of how livelihoods of people were affected back then. And on top of this, the way people were working were also changing, right? Majority of the people, at least for me in the first week, we were thinking, how are we going to go after the next week, the next 2 weeks, the 3 weeks and 4 weeks? Quickly, the work life changed, right? Everyone had to work from home. And this created a chain effect in terms of how would people who traditionally walked into an office, into a call center, could still carry on their jobs. Businesses had to rethink how they were going to operate within, hours and days. I wouldn't even say weeks at that point in time.
It was just so uncertain.
Exactly. Many people also experienced an increase of scope of their work. Now, when they had to rebalance their workforce, many tasks had to be relooked. We at SEEK and Job Street had to rethink our marketing campaigns because I had 5-6 billboards on the road of KL and no one was actually driving. So what do you do then when your marketing messages can't be actually sent to the audiences? So we actually had to even take a step back and think about, hey, what do people actually want to hear from us during a pandemic? I'm losing my job. It's not about searching for the next job. It's about how do I sustain my life? So from a marketing perspective, we had to rethink. And I'll give you an example of how we went through that whole scenario at SEEK. So very quickly, we kind of got together. We brought people from all sorts of parts of the organization in. So it was not just the directors or the leads. Every single one came to brainstorm in terms of who do we stand for. We are about helping people lead better careers and lives. And we want to be able to help them during this period. So we changed the way how we connect with people. We had to go digital. We had to think about the messaging that we wanted to connect with them. And one important thing is we saw early indication of people losing their jobs. The moment people lose their jobs, the searches on our platform kind of goes off because everyone is looking for a job that they can land very quickly.
So there was a surge.
There was definitely a surge, and it came, in phases. Because in the beginning, people were kind of thinking what's going to happen, and then over time, we saw businesses kind of rebalancing their workforce. Now, what is key, and using data at this point in time, data was key in terms of how we looked at the environment and the activities that we need to take care of. Is that there were going to be businesses that had to pivot. So if I never had an online presence, now as a business, I need to have an online presence. And what does that mean? I need to find people that know how to actually lift my presence online. So that was an important indicator. And so while there were many people that lost their jobs, there were many people searching for their jobs, there were equal number of businesses that were looking for very, very specific types of people in different categories. And it's not just digital, right? You had the companies like Grab and Food Panda that say, I needed more riders, right? Because I need to deliver more food. So there was a push and pull effect. And what we kind of came up with at Job Street is how do we make sure we can match the people that are available right now? It means I can start immediately versus waiting 3 months, 6 months to be visible to businesses who wanted to kind of hire immediately. So we came up with the program Work Now, and all that our users on our platform had to do is to enter #WorkNow, and that will kind of surface to all the businesses that wanted to kind of hire people immediately. So tremendous impact, over all our markets, with over 100,000 people that tagged it. And what's really touching, and from a marketeer perspective, is that people actually landed jobs during this tough time based on that campaign that we actually took to market. Now, if I fast forward to the third quarter of 2020, we are already starting to see that businesses don't mind hiring people that lost their jobs. To me, if someone is available now and they have the right skill sets now, they may have been laid off because the businesses couldn't sustain them. But 71% of hirers are not factoring that into the assessment that, hey, you lost your job because of COVID. I need people. I need the right people for my organization. And furthermore, these employers that we surveyed, 24% of them said they were more likely to hire them. That's great news.
That is.
Businesses are definitely looking at, how this can turn around and help people that, can contribute to the society.
So you're saying they are job seekers as well as employers, which is quite important also, were more flexible with their terms during the pandemic. Is that what you're trying to say? They were more...
Yes, I think we saw certain new trends come on. So for example, today, if you go to our platform, you type in work from home jobs, you would see a ton of jobs that allow you to work from home. I mean, that was not the case before this. So businesses are allowing those flexibilities. We are also seeing that in our research, the remuneration or the benefits given to these kind of jobs are also changing. So businesses are allowing employees to have an internet connection at home, which was never the case. Sometimes you had your mobile phone subsidy, but now you see subsidies for internet connection. You are allowed to buy an extra monitor. You're allowed to get a new table. So all these are changing, and I would say they weren't restrictions, but it's a new way of work.
And it's a necessity. It's something to facilitate their job, to make it things much more easier for them and more efficient. Exactly. Now, I mentioned earlier about how being a marketeer is a commodity right now. Do you agree with this?
Well, I think the role of marketing, the fundamentals of marketing hasn't changed. In every business, marketing is super important.
Yeah.
But there are a few takeaways that I want the audience today to kind of think about. Is marketing, the role of marketing is continue to evolve. We hear a lot about customer experience, and I'm a huge advocate of customer experience because experience matters. Experience are going to define businesses that live through this pandemic.
It's always about the person, the people involved, right?
Correct. So if you focus on the customer and you deliver a great customer experience, and that spreads across the business, it's going to work for businesses to kind of go through this. Because today, I'm not just looking at, I need to buy a product. I need to buy a product that means something to me. I need to buy a product that connects with me, has the right purpose to, how I want to interact with that brand or that product or that service.
Yeah.
So when I talk about, so back to your question, you need to build marketing to the company culture. We need to break down silos so every department understands the role and the part they need to play in terms of the customer experience and the customer journey. Now, data. While we talk about marketing being commodity, data is being commodity, right? Without data and data analytics, you can't build proper marketing campaigns in today's day and age, right? You need to be able to use data so you can measure your ROIs, you can talk to management, you can talk to the C-suite and the rest of the organization on how marketing can actually add value. So let's go to the first point around customer experience. I can't emphasize enough how vital it is today for businesses to put customers at the heart of everything that they do. In our case, it's the candidates and the businesses that we interact with. Not only for the success of a marketing strategy, but this is for the success of the long-term business as a whole. Today, marketeers understand that having a customer-centric mindset and focusing on developing an amazing customer experience is key. Companies today need to put customer at the center of not just storytelling, but also products that they build and the touch points that their customers are interacting with. You need to know who your customers are, how they move through your experience, and what emotional dynamics and information is required to make them successful. So this is super important, as I see. And customer experience has always been important, but of course, in today's increasingly digital world, the way customers research and choose how they engage with the brand is changing. All right, it's not the case of advertising being less effective anymore. I think consumers are no longer passively relying on advertising and information from salespeople or brochures to tell them what product. Instead, they're going out there and doing research on a number of platforms. So this could be social media, this could be blogs, reviews. Definitely, you do a ton of reviews on your social channels too. And this talks about not just from a perspective of, hey, here's a bunch of product descriptions, whether you like it, but how are people using that product? How is
Yep.
it affecting the lives of individuals? How has my application on a platform allowed me to rethink how my job is today? So I think we need to build information or pictures about product and services that they're considering, so people can empathize with it, people can find out more, and then supplement it with official information. I would say.
You mentioned data analytics quite often here, and I've seen some of your
Yeah.
previous interviews with other platforms also. How about like small SMEs out there who may not have the resources? How then can they sort of gauge what would be, applicable to their potential buyers or customers then?
Yeah. So I think you don't need a ton of research today in today's day and age. The information about your product and services already exists around you. So that is one. If you have a product in market, people are likely talking about it, and it's about you going and searching for it. So if I have a product, I will go onto whether it's with Google or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok to see how are people using it, and that's already a sense of data that's coming from it.
Right.
Now there are many research points that you can go out there and find out about, run surveys about how your product is doing, what's working and what's not working to improve your customer experience. But the crux of it is that data already exists. You don't need to go out there and run, multi-million ringgit surveys, which such large corporations do. But if you're SME, they already exist. Find out from your customers how your products are working for them. Ask them, collect this data. You might want to do small focus groups that allows you to, interview them and say, hey, do you like what you have just purchased? Can I improve it better? So all of this is important, and they do end up coming together into what I spoke about, customer experience.
And I think people should really jump on what's already free. Your social media, in fact, like Instagram has all those, like, on the swipe up and, their Instagram story, poll questions, ask me questions. So use that and just to gather insights of what your consumers are looking into. All right, I'm going to get right to it now. What if someone who does not have any paper qualification or experience in marketing, for instance, how would they be able to apply for a marketing job? Is this possible? And what are some of the criteria that you, for instance, would look for as being a chief marketing officer in your department? What would you look for in a potential recruit?
So very good question. I think in any job today, businesses will look for people who are passionate, people who bring something new to the table, people who are innovative, people who have a great culture and mindset. That's super important. Now, when it comes to marketing skills, I think in any organization, if you're going to join a company that says, I'm looking for someone with 5 years experience and you only have 2, don't shy away, because there's potentially an opportunity for you in those roles. Of course, if it says you need 20 years experience and you have 2, then it's time for you to go and get upskilled and try something before you kind of get there. But what I would say is it's time for upskilling and reskilling. It's super important. Look at the growing job demands in the scale of marketing, right? So as I mentioned, data. If you're starting up fresh and you're going to go into the field of marketing, make sure you take a course online on data, on how you read data, how you collect data, how do you synthesize data. Next, look at what sort of trends is happening in the marketing space, digital marketing, for example. If I'm going to have someone join me on social media, I would expect that person to actively use social media, understand how social media is leveraged, and how he or she can kind of bring value to the organization. So I wouldn't say shy away and say no because I don't have the qualification. You can start something small, experiment with it. There are many organizations looking for help in very small spaces and pockets that you can jump upon and build your skills in there. And you're going to be very, very, very valuable. What is super important is that don't lose passion. Be innovative. Try things that are new. Start harnessing your leadership skills. Try, get dirty, experiment, fail fast. These are things that we all spoke about 3-5 years ago, but it's becoming reality now that you can experiment in different shapes and forms. So I think it is absolutely crucial for people to reskill, upskill, try, and don't lose that that personal touch of, driving things forward.
But that's just it. Like, let's say someone who's new to the game, and then like what you said, the criteria is at least 20 years experience, but they don't, and hence they need to upskill themselves. So then they have to go and probably go online and get upskilled or reskilled before they are able to apply for the job. So it's a bit of a catch-22 in a sense. Or what do they do in between? Because they still need to live, they need to sustain, they need to earn something. That's tricky, right?
There are many scenarios today. I think people that are affected by the COVID-19 situation look at opportunities that are in bite-size jobs. So I could experiment something, I could try something, build my skills. So I'm always of the view that technical skills are easy to pick up. You can pick things up really, really fast if you invest your time in it, and in a marketing tech space, if you understand how it works, you can pick that skill up. But having to invest your time in some of the non-technical skills is going to be something that personally you need to have and be able to drive. So yes, there needs to be a situation where you can apply for it, you can demonstrate. What I will also suggest is tell the story of who you are. Tell the story of your commitment. Tell the story about where you see how you can contribute to the organization. And because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the pent-up demand for many organizations are changing. We are seeing, I myself are seeing new roles within my team that never existed before that we need to invest in. And some of these skills will be things that we need to build over time. We need to invest in people. So I strongly suggest to anyone that's looking to step into the marketing field, whether you're new or you're 2 years into the role, look at the category of where you want to go in. If you're going to go into the digital marketing space, get upskilled. That's basic, that's fundamental. And then look at opportunities where you have the capability to kind of grow. And that's going to allow you to kind of stand shape into the position that you potentially want to get into. The key is things are changing. And the faster you get on that bandwagon and change and reskill and upskill, the demand is going to be there.
And there are, I think I've mentioned it with Achilles in my last lunch date also on this platform, there are so many courses out there which are actually free for you to go out and do on your own pace, right? Sorry, I just cut you out just now. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying the bite-sized courses. You don't need to spend 6 months, right? You got to just spend a week, an hour a day potentially to kind of upskill and go and try this. Many of the digital platforms today, even if you look at Facebook and Instagram and a lot.
Ramesh? Are we still on? Oh, there you go. Yeah. I thought I lost you for a while just now. All right,
I've seen friends in my community that have, they never touched digital platforms and are now streaming online. So I think the world is changing very fast. The world is changing rapidly. Jump on the bandwagon. I mean, don't wait. I mean, sometimes
you just have to do it, man. You just have to do it. We've got some questions coming in from the public, but we're going to be answering those in just a bit. What about leaders? What about the employers out there? How do they drive the culture? You spoke about passion and innovation. How do they drive the culture of innovation to their workplace? What can they do?
So innovation, comes from every part of the organization. It's not just going to be leaders. I think the culture of the company is the most important, that progressively promotes innovation. Innovation's got to be across the organization, giving space for people to innovate, for new ideas to come on board. And I think this is going to be vital for employees to kind of embrace going forward. Now, I think not only innovation is a very big word, but in the organizations that want to innovate, they are going to need to have the right support platforms. They're going to have the right tools. They're going to have the right experts that can help cultivate those cultures. And many companies are starting to do that. I mean, we see companies now turning to help run multiple hackathons within the organization. And we do that a lot at SEEK and at JobStreet, allowing the culture of innovation to happen bottoms up, because there are many problems that we need to solve. And some of the problems might not exist in the shape and form that that people see today.
Yeah.
But those ideas can spark new categories, they can spark new messaging, they can help improve operational. So organizations will support it, provide ground up support. And when I say innovation, it's not about hiring a chief innovation officer. It's about allowing everyone in the organization to get people involved. Now, the second part of it is involve employees in decision making, pull them together, ensure that they can participate in those work experiences, get their opinions for them. I'm of which, also saying that, get your employees closer, bring them closer, let them experiment, get their hands dirty, and trust them with those new responsibilities. At Job Street and at Seek, I have an 80-20 rule. 80% is your job, but 20% is about you to go and innovate, to think about new things that you want to do.
Nice.
And that gives people a space of innovation. So these are some examples, but I think these are continuously going to be areas that businesses need to rethink. It's super important for leaders to allocate time for innovation to happen. We are so busy, right? And we sometimes don't think about creating.
And it's so important to invest time and resources to your own team, because at the end of the day, it's about productivity. And productivity research has shown that if you invest in that also, at the end of the day, when they're happy, they're able to provide better service to the customers. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure it's all about customer service, happiness, right? And experience for them. I was going through Job Street and I actually applied. It's been a while since I've sent in my resume. Sure. What would be the best way for job seekers to get noticed and to be matched with their respective employers? And should they lower the expectations? Because you've got a part there where you're expecting your salary. Should you lower it, your benefits and stuff, or should you just stick to your guns? How does it work actually? Because it's my first time.
So really good question. I think the most important is get a resume that businesses want or hirers will want to kind of read and look for you. You need to stand out. You need to tell your story, because your story and your experiences are going to matter in terms of whether they click to open and view your application or they don't not. So very important aspect of having a resume online is your story. What do you stand for? What are you bringing to the table? And what are your experiences? In most scenarios, when I interview individuals, both for teams that work with me or the stakeholders that I work with, is that tell me the good, bad, and the ugly, because I just don't want to see the great stuff. I want to be able to look at what are the experiences that you have learned from. So all that adds up to what value you are worth to the organization, right? And businesses would want people that have been through many different aspects of their job and experiences that they've gone through. If I hire a really high performing person, but he or she has not really seen things through, has not kind of got hurt during, when I say hurt is, mishaps that you make, right? You make a bad decision, but you kind of learn from it. Then it potentially is not a well-rounded person. But if I have someone that has kind of seen the good, bad, and ugly, I know that I'm investing in someone that has, experienced it. At the same time, it's going to bring value to me, because I don't want people in my organization to potentially make those same mistakes. He or she can share that experiences, and that's going to be really, really important.
Of course, the gig economy has experienced a significant increase during the coronavirus pandemic last year. So we see a lot of freelancing jobs or, just ad hoc jobs. There are both benefits and, of course, downsides to this trend. What are your thoughts on this? Will it continue, or do you think a blended workforce would be more ideal? And how do we get there?
So the current circumstances have been challenging and even really painful for different businesses. The pandemic has highlighted how important digital transformation is for companies to survive and thrive in an economy that's constantly changing or challenging the new norm. So COVID-19 has taught us that organizations, as I mentioned, need to be agile, they need to be robust, and they need to be secure. And this means that they also need to engage with their customers and employees in both physical and digital platforms. Previously, the barriers to digital transformation had a lot of opposition from employees because they had lack of technological expertise. They have progressively fallen away, and company face the realities of working and collaborating remotely. So as such, the need arises of an immediate need of upskilling, as I said just now, and present employees to be what industry terms as the workforce of the future, right? So due to the rising demand in digital tools, as you mentioned, and processes, there's an urgent need for Malaysians to appreciate the need to upskill themselves in the gig economy, leverage digital technologies, digital literacy, and also start building transferable skills. If you were in the airlines and you were serving customers, what are the roles that you can take from the segment that you were working with into a new market? What are the skills that are transferable? Those are super important. The reality is the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated for Malaysia to progressively build a digital workforce. That is no doubt. My parents who never used to buy online are buying online, which means that businesses that used to connect with them offline need to connect with them online today. And that's going to be super important. In addition to that, automation is going to be key.
Yes.
Latest technologies are going to be disrupted in almost every way and shape. Traditional roles are fast disappearing, and I can name a few of traditional roles that are disappearing. Data entry clerks are disappearing. Assembly and factory workers are disappearing slowly. Operation managers are all these are being taken over by automation. So in the need of all these roles going away, we need to make sure that that upskilling and reskilling happens. Here in Malaysia, some of our studies indicate that the top 3 industries that are looking for talent is IT, followed by manufacturing, and banking and financial services. These are top 3 in Malaysia. If you go to our platform today at jobstreet.com.my, you would see that a lot of these companies are constantly hiring, and they are hiring more than they had before because of the pent-up demand. We are also seeing emerging roles, right? Data analysts, together with artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, cybersecurity specialists. These are new roles that are also coming to shape. So I would advise that candidates constantly, one, make sure you go and upskill, update your profile. Tell people that are hiring that you have these new skills. You never know when the opportunity will come. So it's ideal that you keep your resume up to date. We have at JobStreet artificial intelligence technologies to ensure that we can surface the right skills to the right hirers so that they can actually find you quick in a much faster way. And if you are out of a job and you want to find a job today, earlier in this session, I spoke about #WorkNow. Add that to your profile, because that's going to surface you up and allow you to be spotted by employers who are looking to hire immediately.
Again, it's #WorkNow. So that sort of gets you noticed. Okay, since you spoke about the airlines earlier on, I've got some questions from the public. We've got one from Joey Ting. My husband was furloughed as he is working in an airline as a pilot. They only have specific certs. What are the jobs that you can recommend for someone like him?
So based on the trends that we're looking today, I would say the skills in marketing are something you can pick up pretty easily. Go and look at roles or courses that allows you to upskill yourself in certain categories that are trending now. Data, for example, get upskilled in how do you analyze data. You could even take a course on simple steps in understanding how I could go into coding, right? I wouldn't say a pilot is going to be able to blend into other industries immediately, but there are certain fundamentals. I would say data is commodity and it's going to be across all organizations. If I want to move and I want to shift, I can do that. Now, a pilot, and I've seen stories out there, have started a restaurant, have started selling food. He or she is going to need to sell those items online. So digital skills are going to come to effect really, really quickly. And if you're SME and you're selling something that is to fill the gap between now and the future, you will want to pick up some of these new skills. There was one classic case in Shah Alam, if I'm not mistaken, where a pilot actually, created a burger store. Amazing.
Oh, yes,
story,
that's right.
Amazing story. Now he's also gone online. So those skills are going to be super important. to kind of harness. So you can have your passion in what you believe in and how you perceive your future career, but complement that with skills that you cannot pick up today. And I say the technical skills are easy to pick up. You just have to have the willpower to see it through.
All right, we've got a question from Zainal Abidin bin Abu Bakar. When you say upskill, what is the skill that is highly required at the moment? Considering my current situation, I may be facing retrenchment down the road, 1 or 2 years. My current job is niche, asset quality. It's not exactly a very common role required. Which area or skill should I focus on?
So I might not be an expert in those categories of it, but what I can say is there are 10 jobs that we see in demand now. And out of that, process automation specialist comes to mind very closely to what he has been kind of doing. But let me call out the 10 jobs, right? So data analysts and scientists are in demand. They are hot stuff today.
Okay.
We see artificial intelligence and machine learning specialists also hot in demand. Some of this never existed 5 years ago. People have been upskilling themselves. People have been trying themselves. They've gone to online learning platforms and skilled up. Many people are interviewing and say, you know what, I don't have these skills. I've gone and learned it myself, and I'm bringing this to you. Big data specialists. We see digital marketeers. We see business development professionals coming up as growing job demand. Digital transformation, information security, software developers, iOS, Android developers, hot in demand. So if you want to, pick up a new skill, I would say, these are areas that are going to grow and jump on the bandwagon. There are platforms like Coursera. So SEEK is an investor in Coursera, and provides you bite-sized courses. And if you think that's something that it's going to be really useful for you, go ahead and do it. They are not 6, 12, 1 year courses that can be time consuming. And I sometimes, even go and upskill myself. So I watch a ton of videos on YouTube every day to kind of get to know what's happening around me, how marketing is changing. One area which I did not speak about is MarTech.
Martech.
Marketing. So marketing technologies.
Okay.
In the space of CRM. So the more and more businesses that want to invest their time in, they want to get to know their customers better. They want to understand what ticks the customers, what creates. So every time you go onto the internet, you're sending out signals, and you, a business, can capture those signals. So if someone visits your website, right, or if someone visits your Instagram page, or someone visits your Facebook page, and they're leaving comments, and that comment should be translated to the messaging that you want to send them. So if they love your product, use it as customer reviews. If they are saying, how do I use your product, create a short video to tell them how to use it. And use the marketing technologies to disseminate this information. So you could go to email service providers and send out periodic emails that matches what your customers want to hear. Send them tips, send them what's trending, how they can better use your product, or what other people are saying. So I think it's a ton of new innovation coming into the MarTech space that it's going to kind of explode in 2021. And many businesses, the larger ones have invested in this area. SMEs are going to start to look into this space fairly soon.
And I think that's true, where you mentioned about passion and especially innovation, because when you are uploading content, it's no longer about just marketing. Okay, buy this, go and use our service. Give them added value. It doesn't always have to be just all about your brand, but it can be something as simple as, today, if you would like to get your mental health in check, this is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Something that's valuable and quite relatable in times. Okay, we've got another question here from Nur Zalina. If I have the experience and skills, but I don't have the relevant qualification, how can I highlight it in my resume to make it stand out?
Talk about your skills that you have. Talk about the experiences that you have gone through.
Okay.
That needs to come out. And the moment you get an interview, make sure you tell that story. Give them true examples. Examples matter to hiring managers. They want to see how you've gone through that journey. So storytelling is super important. So you might not have the paper qualifications, but you can say, I experienced A, I did B, and this was what the results were. Emphasize the result, give concrete examples of what the results were so that it will help you stand out. Storytelling is ever more important than where it was before. And I really think harness that. When you can already say that, I have the experience, might not have the paper qualification. Talk about that. Talk about how those experiences matter and what does that mean to the business that you might want to join. How can you help?
And as much as you want to be a storyteller, sometimes people like myself are a little bit long-winded. So keep it brief. So make it concise, but get to the point and share your experience. We've got Shazwan from Facebook. What are the essential skills for fresh grads like me to be someone who are not from digital marketing background so that I can work and be part of this field? Okay, so he doesn't have digital marketing background, but how can he then be part because he's a fresh grad? I guess it goes back to upskilling. Do you think so?
Yes, upskilling, I would say a couple of things. Look at, within digital marketing, there are many different components to it. Pick one that you want to kind of go in there. You're already on Facebook, right? So if you're already on Facebook, then look at how businesses are using Facebook, how they're leveraging advertising on Facebook. Learn that they are not tough. Underlying factors is data. Data is going to be a key skill that if you want to get
you
into
keep on stressing on that, so that's gonna be my next Coursera course, man.
Yes, everyone, and I tell this to my team and my leads in my team. You got to hire people that can read data, can analyze data, can think and shape data, because this data that we're looking at has just morphed in the last 2 years, and it's going to tell us a lot about the customers that we want to interact with. Super, super critical.
And again, guys, check out Coursera because they do have free courses there. And if you want to upgrade because you need the cert and stuff, it's quite reasonable. You just have to invest for your future. Okay, we've got an anonymous participant here who's asking, what are your thoughts about applying for a job to work remotely? Are employers open to that?
Yes, definitely. As I mentioned, if you go to jobstreet.com today and type in work from home, jobs or remote jobs, you will see a ton of employers that are looking for people remotely. So I strongly suggest to look for these jobs. They have categorically label them as work from home. And this is going to grow. This is going to grow over time because now we've spent 11 months working from home, right? Businesses have somehow adopted and said, hey, it's possible to work from home now. Yeah. But I suggest that if you join this company, ask the right questions. Do they have the right tools to enable you to work from home? Do they have the right platforms that enable you to collaborate effectively? I, as a marketer, was very skeptical when we started to work from home because we are so used to collaboration face-to-face type environments. I mean, marketers are creative, right? They always want to, go on a whiteboard, draw something and experiment, and then kind of, maybe have a drink in a small group and see how that would work. But we've made use of it. So I think in the last 11 months, it's taught us that work from home is possible, but you need to have the right tools, processes, and also capabilities to make it successful. So before this, we saw a very limited number of jobs which are work from home. They are actively growing. So go ahead and search for that. And also ask your future employer, what is the policy of work from home going forward? Now, many organizations have stipulated that they're going to be flexible in work from home policies. Some organizations have said, it's going to be work from home for 2021. And that might meet some of the requirements that, job seekers want to adapt to. So plenty of opportunity, I would say.
I always get this mindset of the employers is going to ask someone, the person who's going to hire me is asking me questions. But we should be asking them questions too, because we want to make sure that we fit, right? What are some of the good questions
Absolutely.
let's say I'm going to get interviewed by Ramesh to join SEEK Asia, for instance. What questions should I be asking you that would be relevant to me? Yeah.
Super important is culture. You want to understand the culture of the organization. What is it like to work? How does the company operate? Second, you want to be able to know how you brought this part about innovation. Am I going to be an asset to the organization that's going to allow innovation and growth? Third, how does the company help me grow? Now, many managers say that you have to chart your career, which is true. You need to know where you want to get to. But you need to know that the company allows you to grow. You have the space. You have the space to put your hands up. You have the space to take a leap of faith. And I think these are three key areas which are so important. And I look to candidates that interview with me in terms of them asking me those questions, because that shows me that they're not just coming here for a job. They're coming here to make a difference.
Nice.
They're coming here to really add value to the business, and that's super important.
All right, we're almost at the tail end of our interview, but before I get into your final advice, I know, right? Time just
1 hour.
quick. I'm gonna do a rapid fire question and answer with you, and you have to answer immediately. Okay, so it has to be like very fast. You answer me. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Apple or Microsoft?
Apple.
Work from home or at the office?
At the office.
Oh, interesting. Social media pick. Would it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok?
I would say Instagram.
Wow.
Favorite color?
Blue.
I knew it. Dream job?
Dream job, I would say an advisor to people.
Nice. Well, you're doing that quite well as we speak right now. You advise very well. Very good insights you gave today. What new language would you want to learn and why?
I would say Mandarin, because my wife is Chinese. My kids are mixed, and we speak English at home. So I think I need to learn a new language soon, so to really blend into the Malaysian thing. But that was more than a one-word answer.
可以 never mind. Boleh, 可以. Favorite book?
The Happiness is the latest book I'm reading. It's about how do you bring happiness and joy into your work environment.
You know, that's so important. A lot of people think that you have to be in order to be happy, you have to be successful. But I think in order to be successful, you have to be happy first.
Exactly. And there needs to be humor in what you do, because it is super important, right?
Yeah, for your sanity, especially when times are so trying right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's this
Happiness,
book
is
called
it?
How to Be Funny by Daryl Littleton.
Okay.
I think it's a great. There's also The Humor by Nicole. I can't remember her last name. But these are some of the books that I'm reading now in terms of how do you bring humor into the workplace.
So you're more of a self-help sort of bookie, like all these. Yep. Yeah, same here. If your name wasn't Ramesh, what would it be?
Oh, maybe Spider-Man or something.
Spider-Man. Something superhero-ish, yeah? Pop, country, rock, or classic music? Which is your pick? Pop. Oh, you look more, what's the word? Classic to me. Oh, pop, huh?
Wow.
And finally, give us one word to describe Ramesh. You. What would be the one word that would describe you best?
I think I'm all about, and you use that word, it's about innovation. I love innovation.
I think so too. You're right. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so that was our rapid fire. Oh, you're quick. It gives me a very much more insightful insight to you. Someone asked, what is your favorite pop song?
Oh, I wouldn't say it is favorite, right? I only on Spotify, it's pop. So I would just listen to something random. I'm not here's a favorite artist that I would.
So you just go with the flow. If whatever's nice and catchy, that's your song for the day?
Yes, I would say. Uptown Funk, you would say. That would be, or Ed Sheeran. I think these are some of the ones that I've been following.
Yeah, those are nice. I only get to know all my music thanks to my daughter's TikTok. So there was one where she was doing this TikTok and it was Uptown Girl and I started singing to it, right? And she goes like, you know this new song? And I'm like, dude, it's been there for ages. It's not new, okay? So like, but TikTok's like new. And I said, no. Uptown Girl has been around for a while. All right, last but not least, Ramesh, what are your final advice or thoughts or tips to those, currently seeking for a job change or, just looking for a job right now? What can they do and how?
So first thing is, if you don't have a job street profile, get onto jobstreet.com.my and create a profile. It's super simple. Or download the app from the App Store or Google Play. I think as you create your profile, you're going to be able to see there are over 19,000 jobs today available for you to kind of apply on our platform. Get that ready, get it updated, talk about your story, prepare for that interview. We have a ton of career advice material on our platform. So if you go to jobstreet.com and you click on career advice, read some of the articles that we have curated specially during COVID-19 period, because that helps you kind of think about your current job, your future job, what you need to be prepared, how do you kind of handle interviews, video interviews, for example. You're likely not going to go to an
How does
office
that work then? What would your
yeah.
tips be when, when you're doing a Zoom interview or a video interview? Any tips?
The first thing I would say is be in an environment where you can focus, right? That's super important. Because you don't want to be distracted.
Yep.
Second, make sure that you have a proper internet connection, because you want to ensure that. I mean, these are things that we don't think about. Oh, I have internet connection, but
is it stable or not?
It's got to work, right? You got to be at a spot where it's going to work. Third, the most important of all, be able to tell your story, even visually, right? So if you want to create a couple of PowerPoint slides or keynote slides, put it up there, show them examples, show them, how you've navigated your journey through your career. People like to interact with visual elements, and to see those results is going to be amazing.
Do employers still ask, like, how are you going to be, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I mean, we always see that in movies, right? And that sort of like plays in. I've not applied for a job in many, 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 many years. So I'm just curious to see what is the interview process like? Or some still do, huh?
I'm sure some still do. And I hear that in some conversations, what's your 5 year? I think that's really to gauge and assess whether, how ambitious someone is, how that individual sees his or her career path going forward. I would, for me, it's not about 5 years. It's about, what you're bringing to the table, how you're going to play your role today. And you have all the time to chart your future. I remind employees that they are, and partners in my organization, that they will shape their career together. You own your own career. You got to chart that and ask for help. So where you see 5 years, 10 years is maybe kind of just see where you think and how you think about the future, but paint the story about how you see things now and how you want to make a difference. That's going to be super crucial.
What if their story involves different industries, different job roles, and it seems like, wow, this person has a diverse experience in all these different jobs, but some people might say, apa ni lompat sini lompat sana, will he or she be even focused on this current job? Nanti dia takut dia lompat lagi. What are your thoughts on that? When there needs to be a balance, but what is your...
I think there's a time and place for people that change. If you are an entrepreneur and you have an entrepreneur spirit and you try different things, it's fine. In the corporate world, they are less receptive to people kind of moving from job to job in a very short time, because that creates instability. So a corporate organization might likely have a very different perspective there. For more senior roles, they want people that are vested throughout the organization and can be resilient when times are challenging, right? So I think it depends on what part of your career that you are at. If you are slightly more adventurous, you might want to try different things. But my suggestion is maybe you should have a conversation with your manager that you want to stay in the same organization, but you want to try a whole set of different experiences. I actually did that at Microsoft. I started as a tech person, and I ended up leaving as a marketeer. So
you were there for a good 11, 10 years?
11 years, yes. So that's a clear example that, hey, I wanted to try different things, and I did that within the same organization.
Yeah.
But I was very clear to my manager back then, and I said, I actually want to try and get into marketing, and I was a tech geek back then. And I still have not lost that area of technology, right? Because now I speak about marketing technology in a very different way. how you bring that together. So don't hop around too many organizations. Try and, if you want to live in the corporate world, then try going deep or try something different in the organization. And fresh grads, many fresh grad programs in some of the organizations in Malaysia allows you to experience different parts of the business from time to
Like
time.
management trainees, right? Where they can
Yes, that's
try
correct.
their luck and see which one really fits their personality best. Because at the end of the day, you need to be passionate about what you like. Do, and then
Absolutely.
you are able to give your 100%. Someone actually asked me, how do they apply for a job in Seek Asia or in Job Street? Is there available positions?
So we do have multiple jobs available at Seek Asia and Job Street, and even our Job Street markets across Southeast Asia. So go to jobstreet.com.my. All the jobs for Job Street and Seek Asia are on Job Street, and you may kind of apply for them. So type in Seek Asia, and you should be able to see all the jobs that are available. We are a tech platform, so we are looking for a ton of people in different positions across the organization.
All right, this one comes from actually one of my downlines because she's in an MLM business and she just wants to know, I think we've got a bit of time, we've got about 3 more minutes. She just wants to know how can she, as an MLM person who needs to recruit and sell her products, what sort of upskills would be appropriate for her then?
So if she's going to do that online, digitally, I think get to know the platforms that matter today. There are just a handful, right, where people are. So if you want to sell your sell your products on platforms, you have the Shoppees and the Lazadas that help you not just put your product there, but how do you optimize it? So it's not about just placement, right? In the digital world, you need to make sure your product also stands out. Then think about how you want people to know your product, and then you might use influencers or key opinion leaders, or you might do it yourself and create bite-sized content that explains it. So also get skilled into how you might create a short video, and it doesn't need to be 6, 7, 10 minutes. It could be 30 seconds and say that, hey, I used this product and I had this benefit. So pick one area, and I think about how you want to tell a story of your product, and then optimize it. I think, and that comes to my same point on data, because to optimize something, you need to understand the data, and data is king.
Is it hard to learn? I mean, you're a tech geek, okay? Sorry, but yes, you are. So it's probably kacang for you lah. But then for those who really aren't, like, me lah, is it hard to learn these new skills?
No, it's not. It wouldn't be. I mean, you would typically want still a data scientist to do the number crunching for you.
Yeah.
But you should be able to tell the number of people that come to your site, where they have clicked, what they have clicked on, and what their feedback is, and collate those feedback. So that's kind of fundamental about understanding data. Then it's about, how many of these people that have come to my site have dropped an email address? What do I do with them? Are they male? Are they female? Are they 25 to 35? What do I tell them in that age? And that's where you kind of start uncovering how data can be leveraged.
And
So
then that sort of, what...
then you morph.
Yeah, right. And again, in Instagram or Facebook, you have those insights where you can actually get those data. So it doesn't have to be so crazy, because when I think data, I think of a huge kilang full of these, what do you call those, hard disks and stuff like that. Again, Hollywood.
Right.
My mind's so Hollywood. Well, thank you so much, Ramesh. It's been such a
worries.
joy, and it was so insightful, all the tips that you've given us. And please, let's try and keep in touch, even if we have to
Yes.
do it over Twitter or over WhatsApp, okay?
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank you so
joining
much,
us.
Daphne.
All right,
Take
then.
care.
Take care. Goodbye. And that was Ramesh giving us such amazing tips for one who either wants to explore marketing, or he's also given some of the other highly demand jobs that are out there, and all you have to do is basically go and upskill and reskill yourself. Coursera offers wonderful courses that are free, and I've tried a few. If you want to get a certificate from the Coursera, or you want to extend it, or to keep the notes that they've given you, you just have to invest a little bit. Data analytics seems to be the thing that he keeps on stressing on. So yeah, guys, this is something that you guys will probably want to look into, and I hope this was really insightful for all of you looking out to changing your career or looking for a new job. So thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, Ramesh, once again, and thank you, Job Street, for arranging this interview. It's been a pleasure being your lunch date today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and I'll see you on our next lunch date. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.